Our third reading is taken from the post-synodal apostolic exhortation by Pope Francis, Querida Amazonia, to the beloved Amazon region. Chapter 2. A cultural dream. The important thing is to promote the Amazon region, but this does not imply colonizing it culturally, but instead helping it to bring out the best of itself. That is in fact what education is meant to do: to cultivate without uprooting, to foster growth without weakening identity, to be supportive without being invasive. Just as there are potentialities in nature that could be lost forever, something similar could happen with cultures that have a message yet to be heard, but are now more than ever under threat. The Amazon region is host to many peoples and nationalities, and over 110 indigenous peoples in voluntary isolation. Their situation is very tenuous, and many feel that they are the last bearers of a treasure doomed to disappear, allowed to survive only if they make no trouble, while the postmodern colonization advances. They should not be viewed as uncivilized savages. They are simply heirs to different cultures and other forms of civilization that in earlier times were quite developed. Prior to the colonial period, the population was concentrated on the shores of the rivers and lakes, but the advance of colonization drove the older inhabitants into the interior of the forest. Today, growing desertification once more drives many of them into the outskirts and pavements of the cities, at times in dire poverty, but also in an inner fragmentation due to the loss of the values that had previously sustained them. There they usually lack the points of reference and the cultural roots that provided them with identity and a sense of dignity, and they swell the ranks of the outcast. This disrupts the cultural transmission of a wisdom that had been passed down for centuries from generation to generation. Cities, which should be places of encounter, of mutual enrichment, and of exchange between different cultures, become a tragic scenario of discarded lives. Each of the peoples that has survived in the Amazon region possesses its own cultural identity and unique richness in our multicultural universe, thanks to the close relationship established by the inhabitants with their surroundings in a non-deterministic symbiosis which is hard to conceive using mental categories imported from without. To quote Juan Carlos Gelano, "Once there was a countryside with its river, its animals, its clouds and its trees. But sometimes when the countryside with its rivers and trees was nowhere to be seen, those things had to spring up in the mind of a child. Make the river your blood, then plant yourself, blossom and grow. Let your roots sink into the ground forever and ever, and then at last become a canoe, a skiff, a raft, soil, a jog, a farmhouse and a man." Here ends our third reading.
Thank you.